The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? We are back. That is right. The fellas, the gang, we're all here. You're listening to Huddle Up right here on the Missouri Sports Network inside of the Pizza Ranch studio. Let me show you who's on here. Let me tell you, the big fella up there is Guy Newcomb. The other guy over here, the good-looking one with the hat, his name is the coach. They call him DA, and I'm Johnny Mack. I'll be kind of navigating this thing today, but guys, I am hot. I am fired up, and I am ready to go. There's this guy on here that's running his Cub stuff to me. I had to go wash my mouth out with soap. It is bad up in here. The Cardinals are playing like crap. We're going to get right into Major League Baseball. We ain't even going to get into Major League Baseball. We're going to get into Cardinal baseball. It is ridiculous what is going on out here. I can't stand it. Everyone's getting passes. Guy is the big guy. He's giving everybody excuses to get off. Oh, this and that. Oh, this and that. And I'm just tired of it. Then you got the coach over here. He's a Cub fan. I don't know why. He's had one day of glory. And I mean that a lot of different ways, people. Use your imagination. He had one day of glory in the last 5 years. And then we got the big fella over here, Big Newcomb here. And tell me how the Cardinals, after a playoff season, is having the worst season in the last, what, guy? How many years, brother?
50 years. You go back to 1973 was the last time they started this bad. And there's several things you can point to. Helsley blows one last night after the Cardinals come back. They get 3 runs, and he gives up 3. The problem is they ain't winning, so he's not getting to throw. He hadn't thrown in 12 days.
So that's your excuse because he hasn't thrown in 12 days. That's your excuse.
Yeah, they were unearned runs. So
you give it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Hey, and Wainwright's not been there. Wainwright's not been there, and they don't have Yachty anymore. So who's running the club? Who's taking care of the pitchers?
Oh my God! God, you're the biggest apologist I know right now. They are not performing. These are professional athletes. The Cubs are 2 games out of first. One of the worst run franchises in the history of baseball. The Chicago Cubs are 2 games out of first place. And, Guy, you're telling me that in the last 50 years, that team, tell me about that team 50 years ago, the talent they had.
It was Bob Gibson. It was at the end of his career. Ted Simmons, Joe Torre, Lou Brock, Kenny Reitz, Matty Alou, Bake McBride, Tim McCarver, Al Hrabosky, all on that team that started 5-19. But they did finish second that year, but they were 81-81 right at 500.
And guess where the Cubs were that year? In last place. DA, I'm telling you, this is out of control, fellas. Guy, I know you were saying he hasn't pitched in a while, but I don't care. They pitch on bullpen sessions. You're a professional athlete. You can't come in and give up to a rookie. It was a slider count, what it was, a backdoor break, whatever, a breaking ball that broke right in the middle of the plate. I'm hitting that. I'm getting 350 on that pitch. I promise you. I'm getting 350. I might not lift the yard. I'm getting 350 with good wood on that. If I had aluminum, 375, 380. I'm taking that one. DA, what are your thoughts?
Here's my first thought. I feel like Nuke and I need to come down and have an intervention and get all the sharp objects out of your house, get the firearms, and start doing daily wellness checks on you.
Get here quick, fella.
No, I think it's just a culmination of a lot of different things. I was reading something today that Guy and I talked about off air. is that a lot of the pitching blame is going toward Wilson Contreras, in the fact that the ERA of the Cardinals has dropped almost 1.5 points since this time last year with basically the same staff. And they're saying that he can't frame pitches, and he's having trouble calling games. I mean, they're throwing darts at anybody and everybody. And I think that's part of the problem right now. But one thing you've also got to realize is we're a month in. It's not time to hit the panic button yet. They're going to find stride. They have too good of a team to start bailing water right now. They're going to have to get it together pretty quick, or they're going to have a long, hard summer ahead of them trying to get back in the race and to get a spot in the playoffs. But I think it starts with pitching.
Yeah, DA, I'm not giving you that. So when do you hit the panic button, DA? When we 25 games out of first place? When do we hit the panic button? Why not hit it now? Sound the alarm. Say, hey, people are panicking out here, DA. I'm one of the people. I'm panicking right now.
What was it, 3 or 4 years ago that the Cardinals won 17 in a row to get to the playoffs?
Yeah, then they fired Schilt at the end of that year.
And they fired Schilt at the end of the year, correct? Yeah. So they reel off a bunch of wins. Hey, a month left in the season. They're done.
Stop. How many times have you heard somebody win 17 games in a row, DA?
You don't. But
okay, so you tell me I should be waiting on that to happen? I want 3 games in. I'll be happy with 3.
Man, see, that's typical Cardinal fan right there, man. Typical Cardinal fan. It's not as bad as what you think. Walk a mile in my moccasins there, Tonto.
No, I don't want to walk in your shoes. They stink, they smell, and they're too small. I got big hands and big feet. I don't want to do it. Big fella, am I wrong, Noop, to hit the panic button?
I think with the leadership, I think Marmol, I'm panicking about Marmol. I'd like to drive up there and slap him in the face. I mean, he's got different lineup every day. They send down Jordan Walker.
Why?
They bring up, or they go out and re-sign Motter, and so he's coming back. They have too many outfielders. Who do you trade? Who's eligible to trade? The problem is with the new rules with regards to the playoffs, everybody right now thinks they've got a shot at the playoffs with all the teams they've added. So they're not going to be releasing any arms. I mean, Liberatore, where the heck is he? What's going on with him? Wainwright's still in rehab. He threw last night for the Cardinals, Springfield Cardinals against Wichita. They got beat 12-2, but he just gave up 2 runs, only threw 74 pitches. But he needs to get back. He's not going to do anything. He already knows how to pitch. If he can go out there and throw the 74, he doesn't need another rehab assignment. He needs to be back in St. Louis on Tuesday night, starting in that Angels series. They got to get him back and get him into that clubhouse. And DeYoung, he's come back, and maybe they're showcasing him. Maybe they want to trade him. But hell, he went 3 for 4 with a home run his first night. He gets a pinch hit last night.
He does this.
Maybe he's figured it out.
Cardinals have traded away, tell me if I'm wrong, 3 budding superstars. I forgot the third one. Alcantara. What's it? Am I saying that right? Alcantara.
A Rosarina,
and the other one. Forgot his name. Who's the former Cardinal. How do you let those people just walk out the door, DA? And I'm telling you, there's a certain aspect of these individuals that needs to be noticed. I'm not going to bring it up on this channel. I'm not going to do it to you guys. But there's a certain aspect of the Cardinals that seems to be a trend going. They let it go. A lot of good international players. I don't want to say it, of color though. I just put it out there. And I'm kind of wondering why. And you bring Jordan Walker up, then you put him back down. And DeYoung gets, how many chances do we give DeYoung? He starts off hot, and then people kind of, it's Paul DeYoung. And then he settles down. But fellas, we got a couple more segments we're going to go through. But DA, you tell me, do you think Mozeliak deserves another year, or should he be on the hot seat?
Yes, I think he deserves another 10 years, as long as he's the GM, or as long as he's running he's running the show. That's good news for everybody else in the NL Central. So sign him on. Sign him on. Long term. Let's go.
Now you're gonna blame it on the catcher because he's not framing pitches. I mean, come
Hey,
on,
don't shoot the
guys.
messenger. That's what's out on the internet.
Come on.
And not to pour salt in an open wound, but since Contreras left, the Cubs ERA is the fourth lowest the third lowest in all of Major League Baseball. So I
Well,
think there's a lot of finger pointing going toward Contreras.
let me tell you something, young man. If for you saying that you're not gonna pour salt on an open wound, that dang on valve, that salt valve is wide open.
Yes, it
That's
is.
pouring some salt on the wound, my friend. Hey, we're gonna be back here today. That's our time at this segment. You listen to Huddle Up inside the Pizza Ranch studio here on the Missouri Sports Network. We'll be right back. We got some more stuff. We might jump back into the Cardinals again, but we got some other stuff we're going to talk about.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job, so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. Get a $500 cash allowance on all 2022 Silverado pickups with a 2.7-liter turbo engine. Plus, unlock your code to claim $500 Chevy CyberCash. Visit ChevyCyberCash.com today.
Imagine a bank that goes where you go, creating seamless solutions for every step in your financial journey, allowing you to manage your money the way you want to, with a banking relationship that makes every day extraordinary. Imagine a world full of possibilities, always within reach. Central Bank. We do banking better.
I want everybody out there in TV and radio land to put their hands in the air and say, Musa, Musa, breathe in and breathe out. I have calmed down. The rage has de-escalated, it has started to evaporate. I have now found the level playing ground. I'm going to ease back into our next segment. We're going to shift from the east side of the state. We're going to go to the west, and we're going to come back to the south. And in between, we're going to cover the rest of it. Gentlemen, thank you for listening to me go off on a rant on the Cardinals and how much I hate the Cubs. But with all that being said, all fun and games, we are the Missouri Sports Network, and we cover all the bases. Everyone has a home field advantage here. Gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about the Royals. I've always been a Bobby Witt Jr. fan. I know he's doing this thing, but the Royals are struggling a little bit more than the Cardinals, fellas. Guy, let's start with you. Let's talk about what's going on the other side of the state there with the Kansas City Royals.
Well, they're struggling. They're 6-18. That's they're out of their first 24. So, but their team ERA is 5.4. They're just not getting any help on the mound. Dylan Coleman, a former Missouri State pitcher, he has blown up. His ERA is like 18. They're just not getting any starting pitching. Bubic just, he's done for the season now. He had season-ending surgery today, so he's done for the year. But at the top of the lineup, they're really young with Vinny Pasquantino and Bobby Witt Jr., and they're the two top hitters. With Salvi Perez sitting in the middle of that lineup, he's going to come around. So they just need to find some kind of stopgap, in their starting rotation as well as their bullpen. They've got some guys out there, but they just can't get a lead. I mean, they got Aroldis Chapman, throwing 105 miles an hour, but he can't get on the mound because they can't get a lead. And they've won back-to-back games one time this year. And of course, that was against the Giants, who just came back and beat the stupid Birds. But I think, they're still going to lose 100 games. I don't see any way around it, but they just haven't been able to develop pitching.
I hear you. DA, pitching is where it starts. If you don't have pitching, DA, you can't win in this league. You know what I mean? You can slug it all over the place, DA, but you don't have pitching, that they can't win, right?
Absolutely right. That's where it starts. And one thing I've noticed about the Royals in following them is that when their pitching is decent, their offense is in the tank. And when they can put up 5, 6, 7 runs, their pitching gives up 9, 10, 11 runs. So it's going to be a long year, but at the same time, it's also going to be fun to watch this young, talented group mature throughout the year. And losing Bubic hurt. Definitely their starting rotation, and it's going to be trial by committee for them the rest of the way out. They've got Greinke, who is probably well past his prime. He's been kind of steady Eddie for the most part, but like I said, when he's steady Eddie, the bats are dead behind him and just not getting any run support. So don't be surprised if they don't shop Salvador Perez at the deadline. I could see that happening. If I know that MLB's not teams are not supposed to use the word tank, but let's face it, teams are tanking all the time, and that's how they came up with the good talent. They had the fire sale after the World Series and wins, and they're definitely in rebuilding mode. And hey, if they got a shot at the number 1 overall pick, don't expect too many wins from them.
Well, I didn't expect too many wins from them, regardless if they got a shot or not. Hey, fellas, there's some interesting things that's happening here locally and regionally here. Of course, we're going to cover it all on Missouri Sports Network, but the MSU Bears with Coach G, Coach Gutton, pulled off a big upset last night. Guy, tell us a little bit about that upset and who they beat, Guy.
Well, they beat the number 7 ranked Arkansas Razorbacks 8-4 last night. Arkansas, their 2 best hitters were out of the lineup injured. And they're coming off getting swept, I think, by Alabama, or they're going to Alabama. But they get just great. They get 6 runs in the 3rd inning, did the Bears yesterday. And the first pitch of the game, they hit a home run. On the bottom of the first, they're up 1-0. Then they go down 2-1. And then they get 6 runs in that 3rd inning. And then with Trey Ziegenbein, who, he's just everyday Trey. He can throw and throw and throw, and he's had to get cortisone shots, and he just broke the appearance record for the university as far as appearances by a pitcher at 89 appearances. He's really struggled, but now these cortisone shots, he's kind of got back where he can do that midweek stuff, every now and then. But he gives them 3 great innings. Reed Metz gives them 3 great innings there. And the Bears now 23-16 overall, 11-4 in the conference. So they've creeped back up into 2nd place in the conference. And they're going to battle out with Southern Illinois and Indiana State. Indiana State's in 1st place. Southern Illinois is in 3rd, just behind the Bears. The Bears, they've got Valparaiso coming in this weekend. Then they go to Murray State. And then they've got Southern Illinois and Indiana State at the back end of their schedule. So that's going to determine where they're seated. And if you go back to last year, they were seeded 6th in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, and they won it. And they had to come out. They came back, and they won that tournament. So they got to go to a regional there. But they're getting hot right now, and their bats, they can flat swing it. And, as the weather warms up at Hammons Field with that wind blowing out, you're going to see a lot of balls leave the park.
Yeah, Coach G's been keeping this program up and running for over 30 years. What are your thoughts on Coach Gutton and the consistency that he shows every year?
That's amazing. To be doing it at a quote unquote mid-major school. He can go out and compete on the recruiting trail with just about anybody, and he is good at finding the diamonds in the rough. And he's been at it 40 some years. So he knows what he's doing, and he's lasted in a tough profession that long. So it's just the same old for him. The front end of his schedule is loaded heavy. If you look at their early, February, early March schedule, there's a few L's there, but he's playing some people, and I think it prepares him for the conference run, and then hopefully for the NCAA Super Regional.
You're right. He can definitely find those diamonds in places that you never thought that you'd see him. Been knowing him since I was over there, and so he's a St. Louis guy. Very proud of him. But let's kind of move it around a little bit here, and let's talk about some local baseball. Guy, you and I had all 3 of us that kind of discussed earlier off air about some local teams that we felt were making some moves and were playing good baseball here on the high school level.
Yeah, you look at we talked about last week. We talked about Ash Grove being the only remaining undefeated team in the state. They took on a very good, clever team. Last night it was 21-1 coming into that matchup, and a class larger than them, and they defeated Clever 6-2 last night. They're getting they've got two real good guys on the mound, and then they've got a number 3 and a number 4 that can kind of pick it up in these midweek games, but a little pressure on them. I've talked to one of the players' fathers, and they've been talking to his father. Maybe we need to blow one here before we go into districts. But I'm looking at their remaining schedule. They shouldn't lose the rest of the way out, and they're going to be the 1 seed in that district. Other game, you had number 1 Rogersville in Class 4. They took on a number 3 ranked Springfield Catholic team. He had 2 D1 guys going out on the mound with Corey Sutherland throwing for Rogersville, and he ends up hitting a 3-run homer in the game. They had Ben Smith, who's a commit to Mizzou, throwing for Springfield Catholic. Really wasn't a game. It was 12-2 going into the 7th, and Springfield Catholic gets a grand slam in their half of the 7th to make it 12-6. So 12-6, a little closer than what it really was. Then you go up in the St. Louis area, and the number 1 team in Class 6 is Fort Zumwalt West, and they took on the number 5 team in Class 6 in Francis Howell Central, and Francis Howell gets them 4-2. Eureka is playing really well right now, and they beat a number 10 ranked team in Marquette 7-1. Camdenton, they go up and they put their Wichita State guy on the mound, and they face Glendale, and they shut them out 9-0. And I was talking with Coach Jim Julian at the leadoff club on Monday, just said, hey, is that the best arm you've seen all year? He said, well, we've seen some good ones at Liberty North and Staley, but he said that's probably the best arm we've seen. And he is a Wichita State commit. And the thing is, he's got a younger brother that's also a Wichita State commit, who's number 2 for them. And Coach Bryce Durnan is the head coach. Kate Durnan, Cale Durnan, and Cole Durnan are his sons, and they're playing really well right now. They're going to be a tough out, and they're in the same district, Camdenton and Glendale, and then you're going to add a Willard team to that district who's went to 4 of the last 5 Final Fours with Coach Scott McGee. And, talking to him, he feels like this is the best team he's had during this run, but they're, 17-10 or something like that. But it's going to be a challenge. And you talk about that Rogersville Springfield Catholic game, number 1 versus number 3, they're in the same district. So the baseball health overall at the high school level in Southwest Missouri is as good as it's been in probably 30 years. St. Louis, and rightfully so, they controlled that, especially in the larger classes with the CBCs, the Westminster Christians, the Mianis, the Marquettes of the past. And they've kind of controlled that state championship level there now. Now you've got the guys like Willard have broken through in recent years. Springfield Catholic and Rogersville have broken through in recent years. So it's going to be a lot of fun as we head into district time, and they'll be seeding for districts that week of May the 10th.
Well, Joe, we're running a little bit heavy on this segment, but DA, let's talk really quickly about some of the other regional collegiate teams that have been making some moves, if you can, please. God, take it over. I think we might have lost DA. I know we had spoke about Mo Southern, some other teams that kind of wrap it up for us real quick for me, guy.
Well, Missouri Baptist 37-5 on the year. They're having a great year. Central Missouri University in Warrensburg, they're having a tremendous year. Drury did go up and defeat them this past week.
Big victory.
In Central Methodist, you can always count on them to make a run.
Solid programs. Thank you, my friend. Hey, we ran a little long on this segment. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. We'll be right back for our last segment. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Huddle Up here on the P.
You save it. Well, you buy stuff with it.
I put it in my piggy bank.
You can buy a house, save it to buy a car,
Give it to charity for college. Put them in the bank.
Enjoy a fresh start to your meal at Pizza Ranch, where the salad bar is always included with your buffet. Every day you'll find garden fresh greens, colorful veggies, and sides for every appetite. It's the most refreshing way to balance out a meal. while leaving plenty of room for your other buffet favorites. Convenient, fast, and fresh. It's the Pizza Ranch Salad Bar.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Huddle Up here inside of the Pizza Ranch studio on the Missouri Sports Network. This is the final segment. It's been a fun show, gentlemen. Talked everything from the Cardinals, Royals, the Bears, MSU Bears, that big upset victory over Arkansas. But now we're going to get into what's going to be the highlight of tomorrow, which is the NFL Draft, which will be held in Kansas City and Union Station. They're expecting a huge crowd there. I don't even know the numbers, but it'll be a lot of people there, close to 50, 60,000 people probably or more. I won't be there. Guy, the big fella, won't be there. Coach said he's going to hang out at home, watch it at home, pop a cold one, kick his feet up, relax, and be the stud that he is. The big fella here, I'm just going to hang out and listen to it listen to a little bit on TV and kind of see how it goes. But, fellas, there's a little bit of pick. The number one pick people are saying is going to be Bryce Young out of Alabama, quarterback. Too small for me, what they would call light in the tail. I don't want it. He gets hit, he's going to go down and get hurt. That's going to be a problem. Guy, Coach, let's start with you, Coach. You picking Bryce Young number one?
Yeah, I think he'll go number one. Proven winner. I just think of the quarterbacks, and this is not a particularly talent-rich, deep talent pool as far as quarterbacks are concerned, but I think he's the best with the biggest upside. And if you're a Carolina fan, you just hope he doesn't fall in that trap of most of other Alabama quarterbacks have throughout the history or the recent history as far as drafting Alabama quarterbacks.
Coach, did you ever play JFL football and they had a weight limit?
Oh, yeah.
And if you were like between 9 and 10, you could only weigh so many pounds, 75, 85, 90 pounds. If you got to 10, you had to play heavies. They had the lights and they had the heavies.
Always had the mark, the black stripe on your helmet. Yep.
You know why they did that? No, Coach, they didn't put no black stripe. Your black stripe might have been for something else. That wasn't that. We didn't do that. we ain't had no black stripe. But you know why they did that? Because they didn't want you to get hurt playing with someone that was bigger than you. This kid's going to get hurt, Guy. He's too light in the tail. I'm not picking him number one. He's going to play 6-7 games and will often be injured because somebody's going to hit this kid. And he's not going to make it through a season, big fella. What do you say, Guy?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening, but I think just the skill set, he's going to go number one. And with Titans moving up in the draft, you could see 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks with Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson out of Florida, and Bryce Young. That's a definite possibility. In what order? I don't know. Reddit came out today, said, "Hey, Will Levis is going to be the number one pick." I think they're just screwing with people, and so that screwed with the people out in Vegas. They're dropping the odds now on Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson because somebody said Will Levis, and somebody like Reddit. I'd like to see 4 quarterbacks go in the first round. I mean, that's like the '83 draft, where you had Elway in that draft, and that may be the Chiefs' probably most ridiculous draft pick that year when they take the quarterback out of, was it Penn State? Oh my goodness, I can't think of his name now. He does some play-by-play now. Maybe Michigan, but anyway, that
Gerback.
No, that's the Chiefs traded for Gerback.
Okay.
When
Blackwood,
he was a Gerback was a 49er, but I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested to see what the Chiefs do. I mean, if a running back falls to them, are they going to take a running back? Losing Mikael Hardman, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Kadarius Toney and some of those other guys, at the wide receiver that are coming back for the Chiefs. Sky Moore may have a big year. Kadarius Toney, maybe they get a wide receiver. Maybe they go edge rush. I don't know what they're going to do.
That's over for the Chiefs, fellas. I'm just going to put that out there. It's over for the Chiefs. I'll put $100 to everybody, 99. Chiefs won't win another Super Bowl for the next 5 years. It's over with. They've had their run. They should have won 4 in a row. They didn't. They're going to be mediocre. They'll be a good team. They'll won 2 Super Bowls, and Patrick Mahomes make a ton of money. It's done. They're done. They're done. Their run is over with. And I'm telling you right now, and I just looked this up for all of you guys out there and they're listening to us. If you ever had a black strip on your helmet like Darren had, that means you were a jerk. And you were one of the kids that people say, hey, don't hit him too hard. His mama's watching. That's what that black strip meant. Don't hit him too hard. Mama's watching. All right. So I don't know what that's talking about. But look, Bryce Young was mediocre all year. No one said this guy was spectacular and awesome and all this. No one said that all year. They did not win a national championship. And people are just riding this wave because it's the draft. Mel Kiper and all these guys everyone has their kind of voice and everyone wants to listen to them. Listen, don't listen to the hype. Go get you a big, solid NBA, NFL quarterback with the prototype, with the body that can last. These little quarterbacks not going to win you a Super Bowl. I'm just saying it. Tell me when the last little quarterback that won a Super Bowl. If you say Russell Wilson is not little. He's not tall, but he's not little. He's not going to do anything. He's too small. I'm going to give you a blitz, play a little man under coverage, and we're going to go to work on you. Coach, what you thinking?
Who do you take first pick then?
CJ.
Carolina needs a quarterback. No doubt about that.
Big quarterback.
CJ Stroud.
Even though he comes out of Ohio State, I take the big quarterback.
Yeah.
More like he might be more of a leftwich, you know what I'm saying? But he's bigger, stronger, but better arm, but he's just a big quarterback. Sit in the pocket. You could take a hit. Guy, outside of the quarterbacks, they got a couple other people that are out there with a couple of D linemen. Who's the first D lineman you might take?
Oh, it depends on how far they drop. Really, you're looking at, if you're going after an edge rusher, which they got to replace Frank Clark. If you go after an edge rusher, is that where you go? Do you go get and I the names right now I can't think of.
Will Anderson
Jr. is probably in most drafts, he's the number one pick. End of story. Done deal. Get him signed, sealed, delivered. But
I didn't see it. I didn't see it either, DA. I didn't see him being a number one. I didn't see all the explosiveness. I didn't see that.
But I think out of this year's draft, you can't compare him to players that have already played in different draft classes. Okay. Comparing him to the draft class that he's a part of, I think he has the potential to be the best one out of this year's draft class.
Okay.
He can be a game changer.
Like Bosa, Chase Young, those guys, when they came out, I was like, whew, my Lord. Yeah. I don't know who's going to block these guys. I don't see it in this guy, but we'll see what happens. Kansas City's going to be rocking tomorrow. I can tell y'all that. If y'all want to start, I'll go with you, DAU drive. Guy,
buddy, I'm going to have the recliner in full tilt position, popcorn popped, and ready to watch the NFL draft.
Well, it wouldn't be a Huddle Up show without us talking about the Chiefaholic. And I've heard a rumor that everyone might wear his costume just to mess with the police there in Kansas City. Guy, what's the latest on my favorite Chiefs fanatic fan here, the bank robber himself? What's the latest, buddy?
He is still on the lam. They, everything I've looked up, they don't have any clue where he is. And, for him to have gotten away with robbing banks on the way to Chiefs games, he's probably pretty sharp.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to find him. And, they do have a picture of him, but most people wouldn't recognize him because he always wore that Chiefsaholic outfit. I'm sure they put up flyers all across everywhere in Power and Light District and everywhere around the stadium and wherever they're putting this stage up that's going to hold 100,000 people. But trying to find him amongst 100,000 people in Kansas City, that's going to be tough. To do.
Well, I thought I saw him at the old Come and Go on National and Norton, but maybe not. I don't know. I thought I saw him on National and Norton. I swore it was him. He was outside juggling some balls, but maybe that wasn't him. Hey, whatever he is, should be a fun time tomorrow in Kansas City. We'll see this time next week. All our estimation and guesstimations would have probably been thrown out the window, and you're probably right. Bryce Young will probably be the number one pick. But we'll see where the cards will fall. Hey, thank you for listening. You've been listening to Huddle Up here inside the Pizza Ranch studio on the Missouri Sports Network. The big fella there is Guy, the gentleman with the hat. He's the coach. I'm Johnny Mack. Stay tuned for next week. Come back next week. Listen to it. We'll be back. We're just having a good time. Peace. Be safe out there.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.